So today I'm going to quickly show you how to make an inseam pocket pattern piece, and you can use this to make a pattern piece for a sewing pattern you're creating or for a sewing pattern you have already bought from the shops and you want to add an inseam pocket. So an inseam pocket is literally a pocket that's in a seam of a garment. So let's begin. So this here is my front trouser pattern piece, and I'm going to be adding an inseam pocket here. So what you want to be doing is tracing around this area here, and we're going to be creating a pattern piece with a new piece of paper. So make sure you can see through your piece of paper to see what's underneath, or you can always put your pattern piece below to trace it around it. And you want to make sure you've got enough room that your hand is going to fit really nicely on the piece of paper, because we're going to be using our hand as our stencil to create our pattern piece. So what you want to start off by doing is literally drawing around the edge. So this here is my side seam, this is my waist along here. So I'm going to start by just drawing along the waist, the side seam, sorry. You don't need to worry about the seam allowances, taking any of them off. I'm drawing literally where the edge of the pattern piece is, so including my seam allowances, and that's because I want the same seam allowance on this anyway. So I've just drawn to about down to the hip line, so you want to make sure you've got more than the width of your hand that you've drawn here. And then I'm going to be doing the same with the top. And obviously if you don't have a top, you don't need to worry about that. You can just do the side. All right, so I've got lines along here and lines down here. So this is my side seam here, and this is my waist along here. So all I'm going to do is just join up my top line here, like so. And then I've already got my side seam here. And now what I want to do is draw on the pocket shape. So I'm going to have it so it's caught in this top seam as well, just to give it a bit more structure in the trousers. But as I was saying, if you don't have this waist seam here, then don't worry, you've just got this here. And now what you want to do is pretend you're putting your hand in the pocket. So I'm going to be putting my hand in the pocket through the side seam here. And then I want the pocket to be nice and deep so that things don't fall out. So I'm going to mark a little bit down here to mark where I want the pocket to finish down the side seam, and then literally draw in your shape, and make sure you're adding enough that you've included your seam allowance as well, because you've already got your seam allowance along here and here, and you've got plenty of room. So if I took off 1 centimetre around here, I'd still have plenty of room for my hand. And then the last thing we want to do is just make sure we mark on the grain line, so we can just line up our pattern piece again. Take your grain line from the pattern piece you are using so that all your grain lines match up. So just mark that on, and then I can just draw in parallel. And then you can just write on pocket pattern piece, and depending on how many pockets you want, for every pocket you want a pair of pattern pieces. So I'm going to have 2 pockets. So that means I want 2 pairs cut. So cut times 2 pair. And these are for my summer trousers. And they already include hem and seam allowance. Obviously there's no hem allowance on this, so they already include seam allowance along here and around here as well. So I can just write 1 centimetre seam allowance on here so that I know. Woven, and it's size me. And that's all there is to it. Literally, your pocket pattern piece is created that simply.